I found out my own father was selling my house while I was standing in line at my daughter's school fundraiser, clutching a paper plate of stale brownies and listening to the principal thank parents for community trust. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. We need to talk. Urgent. Check the county records. By the time I got back to my car in the cracked asphalt lot of Jefferson Elementary, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock the door. I pulled up the Clark County property database on my phone, expecting a glitch, maybe a typo, maybe a scam. Instead, I saw it. Pending sale. Single-family residence. Seller, Martin Hale. Martin Hale was my father. The house, the one I'd paid for, renovated, and lived in for 8 years, was being sold without my knowledge, without my signature, without my consent. The world narrowed to a ringing in my ears as memories slammed into me. My husband's funeral under gray Nevada skies, the mortgage I refinanced alone, the nights I worked overtime as a systems engineer while my daughter slept on the office couch wrapped in my coat. I left then. A sharp, broken sound. Of course it was my family. That night, I drove straight to the house on Juniper Ridge Drive, the same house my mother had sworn would always be ours. Lights were on inside. My father's SUV was parked crookedly in the driveway. So was my younger sister Dana's Lexus, the one I'd helped her buy after her third failed business. I didn't knock. I walked in and heard my name used like a curse. She doesn't need to know yet, Dana was saying from the kitchen. Once it closes, it's done. My father sighed, the weary sigh he'd perfected whenever he wanted to sound burdened by my existence. She'll understand. She owes us. After everything we've done. I stepped into the doorway. What you've done is commit fraud. They both froze. Dana recovered first. She always did. She turned, arms crossed, lips curling into that familiar smile that meant I was being unreasonable again. You're overreacting, Claire. Claire. Not Mom. Not my name softened by affection. Just Claire, like I was an employee who'd missed a deadline. My father cleared his throat. Sit down. I didn't. You listed my house. It's family property, he said calmly. It was always meant to help all of us. I bought it. With family money, Dana snapped. I felt something tear inside my chest. What family money? My father's eyes flickered. Just for a second. That was when I knew. For years, I'd wired money into an account he managed, for Grandma's care, he'd said. For taxes. For emergencies. I trusted him because he was my father. Because after my husband died, he told me family was all that mattered. Behind me, small footsteps paused on the stairs. Mama, my daughter Lily whispered. Dana glanced at her and rolled her eyes. This is an adult conversation. She's my child, I said sharply. And she lives here. Dana shrugged. Not legally. The words hit harder than any slap. Lily wasn't biologically mine. I'd adopted her after my best friend died. I loved her like she'd grown under my heart, but my family had never forgiven me for choosing her. My father avoided Lily's eyes. This house was meant to stay in the bloodline. I felt ice crawl up my spine. You mean she doesn't count? Silence answered me. I told Lily to go upstairs and lock her door. My voice was steady, but my hands were fists at my sides. I'm calling a lawyer, I said. Dana laughed. Good luck. Dad's name is on the deed. The room tilted. That's not possible. My father opened a drawer and slid a folder onto the table. Inside was a copy of the deed, his signature bold and confident. I stared at it, heart pounding. I didn't remember signing anything like that. I would have remembered. You forged my name, I whispered. He didn't deny it. After all the money I gave you, I said. After I paid your bills. Dana's bills. The taxes. The remodel on this house. You make good money, Dana said coldly. You'll survive. Something in me hardened then. Not cracked, hardened. I walked out without another word. At midnight, when sleep wouldn't come, I found the second message waiting in my inbox. An email from an address I barely recognized. From E.M. Hill. Subject: The truth you were never told. It was from my grandmother. She wrote that the house had been left to me in her will years ago. That my father was never authorized to manage her funds. That she suspected he'd been stealing from all of us. Attached was a scanned document. a notarized letter, and a copy of the original will. My name was the only one on it. I stared at the screen as dawn crept through the window, realizing the betrayal went deeper than I'd ever imagined, and that if I didn't act fast, I was about to lose everything. The courthouse smelled like disinfectant and old paper, the kind of place where secrets came to die. I sat on a wooden bench clutching my grandmother's letter, my pulse ticking louder than the clock on the wall. I hadn't slept in 48 hours. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my father's calm face as he slid that forged deed across the table, like betrayal was just another household chore. My attorney, Marcus Reed, finally emerged from the records office, his jaw tight but his eyes sharp. "Claire," he said quietly, "your grandmother didn't just leave you the house." I stood. "What do you mean?" "She left you everything." The words landed like a detonation. Marcus explained it fast. How my grandmother had transferred the property into a trust years before her health declined, naming me sole beneficiary. My father had never had legal authority over her accounts. Every dollar I'd sent for her care had vanished into shell accounts he controlled. "He didn't just commit fraud against you," Marcus said. "He stole from his own mother." I thought of all those Sundays he'd sat beside her hospital bed, holding her hand, telling her how much he loved her while draining her dry. My stomach turned. "We can file an emergency injunction," Marcus continued. "Stop the sale today. And once we do, criminal charges are on the table." I nodded, my resolve crystallizing into something unbreakable. "Do it." By afternoon, the sale was frozen. By evening, subpoenas were issued. And by nightfall, my phone exploded. Dana called first. I let it ring. Then my father. "Voicemail. You've gone too far," his message said, voice trembling with anger. "You're humiliating this family." Family. The word tasted bitter now. The next day, I packed their things. Every box, every forgotten sweater, every framed photo of a family that had never truly included me, or Lily. I left them neatly stacked in the garage, changed the locks, and updated the security code. When Dana showed up screaming on the porch, I watched from the camera feed with Lily tucked safely beside me on the couch. "She's poisoning you against us," Dana shouted through the door. "You think you're better than us because you work some fancy tech job?" I opened the door just enough to be heard. "I think I'm better than being robbed." She scoffed. "You wouldn't survive without us." I smiled then. A real one. "I already have." Court moved faster than I expected. Evidence stacked high, bank transfers, forged signatures, emails my father never thought to delete. When my grandmother testified via recorded deposition, her voice was frail but unwavering. "I trusted my son," she said. "And he betrayed me." Claire was the only one who never asked for anything. The judge didn't hesitate. The sale was permanently voided. The trust was enforced. My father was ordered to repay every stolen dollar, with interest. Criminal proceedings followed soon after. Dana avoided eye contact as she left the courtroom, her lifestyle evaporating with each step. Outside, reporters hovered, hungry for scandal. I shielded Lily with my coat as we walked past them. "Is it over, Mama?" she asked softly. I knelt in front of her. "Yes. And no one can take our home again." That night, I transferred the last of my financial support accounts. Closed, emptied, done. No more emergency payments. No more guilt-fueled generosity. I sent one final message to my father. "Do not contact me again. Any further attempts will go through my lawyer." He never replied. Weeks passed. The house felt different, lighter. Lily painted her room yellow. I planted rosemary and lavender in the backyard, my grandmother's favorites. On Sundays, we cooked together, music playing, laughter echoing down the halls that once held tension and silence. One afternoon, a small package arrived. Inside was a single key and a note written in trembling cursive. "For the lock you changed. I'm proud of you. Love, Grandma." I cried then, not from pain, but from release. Family, I realized, wasn't who shared your blood. It was who protected your peace. And for the first time since my husband died, since I'd been made to feel like an outsider in my own life, I knew this house, this life was truly ours.